Good evening. Welcome to the Scotch Plains Fanwood Board of Education regular public meeting. Today is May 19th, 2022. Will you please join me in the salute to the flag? Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mr. Jones, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Bauer,
Here.
Mrs. Boroff,
Here.
Ms. Brody,
Here.
Mrs. Mitchell, Ms. Sirianni, Ms. Williams, Ms. Winkler, Mr. Murray. Here. Dr. Kolakowski.
Here. Thank you, Mr. Jones. Quorum is present. Prior to coming out here into public, we held our executive session meeting. At that meeting, we discussed the personnel report, the HIB review, the suspension and detention report, the legal status report, and a negotiations update. We do have one addition to the agenda at this time. It is 20 BUS, School 1 book disposal. I'd like to turn the meeting over to Dr. Mast for some opening comments.
Thank you, Dr. Kolakowski. So we have 22 full days of school left, so enjoy each glorious day. And tonight we will be hearing some poetry and celebrating our PTA. So I look forward to those events in the meeting tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Mast. Mr. Jones, Business Administrator's report.
Yep, just a quick update on some construction. So Beaucraft, I talked with the developer this week. So Beaucraft, which will be called Glenside Apartments, they're expecting to have one building open in August, September. About 28 to 30 units will be coming online, and they expect to open the rest of the units come online over a 2-year period. So we should have a sense of how many students we have coming out of there and plan accordingly. And they're going to get us a map, and we're already starting to plan busing and things like that. So and the other big development is the Parker Gardens, which will be called Orchard Park Apartments, and that's going to come online January, February. Again, one building will come online, about the same amount of apartments, and that same over 2 years. So over 2 years, they'll be opening up the buildings as they can get done. And we've started planning on that one as well, looking at the busing. Just as a reminder, the Beaucraft, or going to be Glenside Apartments, will have they'll have the most 3-bedroom apartments, and we'll have and townhouses that are 3-bedroom as well. So we expect the most amount of students from that development. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have an advance notice of and to attend meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Scotch Plains Fanwood Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted at the Board of Education offices located at 512 Cedar Street, Scotch Plains, New Jersey, and such notice was also provided in written notice and forwarded to the Times, now known as the Union County Hawk, the Star Ledger, the Township Clerk of Scotch Plains, the Borough Clerk of Fanwood, and the revised annual notice of regularly scheduled meetings as adopted September 1st, 2021. At this time, we'll go for the instructional updates, starting with the Union County Arbor Day Poetry Contest winner in second place from Terrell Middle School. Dr. Mast?
Yes, I would like to introduce Emma Pisarczyk, 6th grade at Terrell Middle School. Emma won 2nd place in the Union County Arbor Day Poetry Contest for the 6th grade level. This was a county-wide contest. Emma also went to the Union County Board of Commissioners meeting, where she was awarded the big sum of $25 for her 2nd place winning. This is how we get the title of the starving artist. But Emma is going to share her beautiful poem with us now. Emma?
We didn't bring the hard copy. She's just pulling it up now.
Oh, okay.
That's perfect. It's adding to the suspense and anticipation.
On the way out, I suggested she take the big one that the Union County Board of Commissioners gave us, but it was not well received.
Please listen to your mother. Yeah, you go right over there on the mic. Yeah.
I step outside, the smell of crisp summer air. Trees surround you. The leaves stem off the tough brown branches and blow around like airplanes flying overhead. A few months pass. Admire the trees of autumn. Orange, yellow, and red leaves speak soft words to the deep blue sky behind. Winter arrives. The last frosty leaves tremble to the frostbitten ground, and the snow towers on top of branches waiting to melt off. Spring has sprung, and along with flowers, leaves begin to grow. Slowly but surely, vivacious green leaves flood the space around you. Imagine a world without trees, bare, hard to breathe, and naked earth. Begin to notice that no matter the time, no matter the place, no matter the season, trees make our world a beautiful place as we know it. Trees provide us life. Trees give us the world around us life. Trees are the key to life.
Absolutely.
Emma, we're going to ask you to come back. Dr. Kulikowski has a little gift. It rivals the $25.
Congratulations. That was absolutely beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations. I appreciate the fact that you came and took the time to be here and to share that beautiful poem, and I'm so happy that you won so that we could all hear that tonight. Does anybody else have any comments?
I just want to further say the same. That was awesome, Emma. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
And I hope you do more in the future and win much more money. Okay. Next, Dr. Mast will speak about the PTA.
So we are so fortunate to have a wonderful PTA that provides such a strong partnership between parents and educators in our community. Our PTA always goes above and beyond to create memorable moments to enrich the lives of our students, and this year was no exception. We would like to recognize and thank our PTA for their dedication to our students and our school community. And also, thank you for feeding our teachers so well during Teacher Appreciation Week.
Thank you, Dr. Mast. First, I'd like to have PTA Council President Suzanne Workland. First year, Suzanne will continue as PTA Council President next year. Suzanne? Thank you. Congratulations. And thank you.
And then I think you should stay while the ground.
Thank you for continuing.
PTA Council Vice President Nicole Verga, second year. Nicole will be stepping down as the PTA Council Vice President, and this position has not yet been filled. So thank you and congratulations. Thank you for all you've done.
Thank you.
Grunner PTA President Sharon Dowling, second year and staying for a second term. You go, Sharon. Sharon will be staying on for another term as Grunner PTA President. Wow, yeah, that's great. Evergreen PTA President Amy Bervez Lewis, second year, and Amy will be stepping down as president. Congratulations, Amy. School 1 PTA President Diane Kohler, second year. Diane will be stepping down as president. Okay. Well, thank you to Diane for doing all she has done. Terrell Middle School PTA President, Ratna Wright. This is the second year at Terrell and will continue on to the PTA President at Scotch Plains Fanwood High School. Wow. Scotch Plains Fanwood PTA President Jennifer Power, second year at the high school, fifth year as PTA President in the district, and Jennifer will be stepping down as president. I don't have
Congratulations.
Jen De Los Santos from Nettingham Middle School. I almost said Park. This is the PTA president from Nettingham.
And she's continuing on.
Oh, you are continuing. That's great. Congratulations, and thank you so much for your service.
Yes, thank you very much.
Red bench to get a perfect picture. What a crew. PTA. Woo.
Thank you.
Very much. You know, many of us were involved in the PTA as we went along our journey before we came to the Board of Education, so we know how much hard work is involved, how much dedication there is of not just the PTA president or vice president or secretary or treasurer, but your whole family gets involved to help you to do all those things, so that you do this for parents who don't have the time to do it or not interested in doing it, and then you continue and you become absorbed in it, and then you'll someday wind up here on the Board of Education, hopefully, as many of us did, because Deb was PTA and PTA council, so was I. And, you know, we're all involved in PTA somehow along the years, and we're so glad that you're doing it now for us. So thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else has any other comments at this time?
It's just a lot of work, and nobody realizes until you're in it how much work it is. So thank you.
But you enjoyed it, right?
Yes, I absolutely. That's why I'm even here. So
That's right.
yes, I did
Exactly.
enjoy it, and I started that 2 years as PTA council president. So
That's right, she was the first
thank me
one.
for the 2 year.
Thanks, Deb. Any other comments?
Just we're very fortunate here in Scotch Plains. We've always had wonderful PTA presidents. So
That is true.
I thank you all so much for the work you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We appreciate the support from all of you, so thank you.
Enough of the mutual admiration system. And thank you for coming out tonight to be recognized. You deserve that and more.
Thank you.
All right, then that will conclude our instructional update. And if you'd like to stay for the remainder of the meeting, please do. If you don't and you want to scoot out, I totally get it. No, take it. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thank you. At this time, it brings us to our public comment portion. So in accordance with the Scotch Plains Fanwood Public School Bylaw 0164 and 0165, the meeting will be open for 15 minutes for public comments. Maximum of 3 minutes per speaker. Speakers addressing superintendent items, business functions, and other board business will be heard first. If time remains, speakers may address other matters. Speakers, please speak slowly and clearly by stating your full name and the town in which you reside when you come to the podium. Please note that board members cannot respond regarding concerns of individual students or staff members, and such matters should be addressed with the superintendent's office. So if you'd like to make a public comment at this time, please come to the podium, state your name and the town in which you reside.
Hi,
Hi,
Kim Bunchorn, Scotch Plains.
thank you.
I actually wasn't going to speak tonight, but after seeing misinformation being deliberately spread to our community by members of our community online, hearing comments at some meetings here recently, and reading a newly proposed bill in the Senate this week, I had to say something. New Jersey Senate Bill 2648 was written to prevent students from being exposed to instruction on, or mention of, gender identity, and sexual orientation by banning the conversation in grades K through 6 and requiring parental consent for the conversation for students in grades 7 through 12. Now, this bill is very likely not going to pass, and the misinformation online can easily be fact-checked. But actions like these are harmful because they repeatedly make the target loud and clear: LGBTQIA+ people, including those here in SPF, adults and children. Whether the attempt is at state or local level, trying to erase the existence of people who aren't heterosexual cisgender folks is inexcusable, and we must all be better at speaking out against it every time we see it. Students in grades K through 6 or 7 through 12 are not too young to have family, friends, classmates, and community members of varying gender identities and sexual orientations, nor are they too young to know or explore who they are as they grow and develop more into their authentic selves each day. LGBTQIA+ individuals have made discoveries, inventions, writings, history that deserves to be respected, learned, and explored, and their identities are often part of what makes their achievements so notable. Prohibiting the acknowledgement that they not only exist, but also achieve, is a dangerous choice. LGBTQIA+ youth are 4 times more likely to seriously consider, make a plan for, and attempt suicide than their peers. They're also vastly more likely to get bullied on school property, and those who are also people of color are at the most risk of harm. But the numbers plummet in communities where the schools clearly welcome and support them by regularly affirming the normalcy of their existence. While there are state laws and district policies already in place protecting equity and inclusion for the LGBTQIA+ community, tonight I'm publicly asking that our school district make it even louder and more clear in the curriculum, like the health program, district policy, and future messaging that every student is welcome in our district. It's normal to learn about people who both share identities and not, and educators will receive professional development needed to ensure that inclusive and accurate information is rolled out in a way that's safe and engaging for students at all ages. I don't have enough time left to dive into the many benefits non-LGBTQIA+ students also receive from these protections, inclusions, and messages. But I will say this: as a heterosexual cisgender woman, my life has been made better by the inclusion of LGBTQIA voices, stories, history, art, friends, family, coworkers, and community members in it. I only wish I had more exposure to them all back when I was a student. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments, Kim.
John Denning, Scotch Plains.
Thank you.
I've been following the success of our track team here and have been very impressed by them. My track days were definitely not record-breaking, but what I remember is the unity. At first, you cared about how fast your teammates were, not what they looked like or what they believed. And then as you matured, you stopped even caring about how fast they were, and you just enjoyed seeing a determined and courageous performance, even if they were battling it out for 5th place. I never produced such unity. I was disappointed to hear that the facilities of this high-performing team had been underfunded, neglected, and were in a shocking state of disrepair. I contrast this with the financial floodgates that were opened to Dr. Joshi last year. On one hand, you had a successful student-focused activity capable of producing all the EDI benefits this district claims it longs for, yet it's cannibalizing equipment. Whereas Dr. Joshi was paid $600 an hour to indoctrinate the administration, $600 an hour for a total of $10,800. We then paid her $9,000 for 2 days of training, roughly 12 times what we pay the median teacher here. And let's not pretend that our teachers don't prepare for their day the same way that Dr. Joshi prepares for her. 12 times the pay for the same work. How devaluing to our fine teachers. I see that our lip service to equality does not extend to financial matters. She was also given verbal approval to collect data towards doing a $13,500 study on that 2-day training session. The study did not appear to benefit the district, but rather to serve as a propaganda piece for her business. And yes, it is a business, Educational Resource Group, LLC, not the Institute for Teaching Diversity and Social Justice. Fortunately, the process was abandoned because her sessions were so poorly attended, less than half capacity. Yet rather than cancel or reschedule, the district simply paid for them. Now, I know that track coaches don't stack up to Dr. Joshi. They seek to unite, not divide. I doubt they ever publicly dehumanized millions of people based on geography and political affiliation, as she did. That alone probably would have gotten them fired. I doubt that they repeatedly declare the U.S. is a white Christian supremacist society. We're never part of an interview that concluded white Christians in the U.S. doomed 6 million Jews in the Holocaust. Never promised to use CRT in all their training sessions, as she did, for which we paid her $1,000 to come and do for the teachers here. The list goes on and on, but my time is short. This administration is sending absolutely the wrong message about what is rewarded and where its priorities are. The SPF district exists to advance the education of the children of Scotch Plains and Fanwood. It does not exist to siphon funds to special interest groups, nor a select group of activists, teachers, and administrators to advance their personal crusades. I am begging you, please return this district to the service of the children. Let's reward and encourage not just these kids who are running their hearts out, but all of our children. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, John.
Karen, if I can just...
Oh, sure, Mr. Jones, go right ahead.
So yeah, I've been working just very closely with Ryan Miller on athletics. We're reviewing the process of the uniforms and how we purchase uniforms and how quickly we refurb them or replace them over time. In addition, we had the architects come in this week, and when they were here, we had them look at the weight room, and just we're meeting on Monday just to get a general sense of their thoughts on the weight room and just discuss next steps for that. In addition, we're putting together, we're looking at funding for all the sports, and we reviewed all the sport. He met with all the athletic coaches, and they gave us requests where they see the future growth of the sports, and we went through each one of those during our budget process this year, approximately 2 or 3 weeks ago. So.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
I would simply add also that Mr. Cagle, the track coach, is also a member of the Superintendent's Liaison Committee. He brings forward concerns regarding all of the coaches. That's part of what he advocates for. And we had several meetings throughout the year. Part of the uniforms were challenging because of just supply chain issues, in addition to the vastly growing interest in track, which is what we celebrated. The athletics programs are well focused on, because we know as we're teaching the whole child, the athletics program is also key to that support.
Thank you, Dr. Mast. Is there anybody else that would like to make a public comment at this session?
Good evening. Need to state my name and
the town.
Okay. Lisa Leibowitz, Acacia Road, Scotch Plains. I forgot my glasses, so bear with me here. Just as a parent here in this district, of course, want to appreciate and be thankful for all the good things that are there. We can't negate that there are many good things, but I've also seen so much over these past 2 years that have certainly come to light more with concerns about the way the district is going in certain areas, starting with the inclusion and diversity and some of the avenues of which the board has chosen to go in that direction, using Dr. Joshi, et cetera. And obviously keeping the school closed for as long, and so much of the damage that's been done to our kids that I know is a difficult role for you guys to play in as well, because you have mandates that you have to follow through on and whatnot. But I just want to make sure that we parents are heard as well. I am a member of the Scotch Plains Fanwood Concerned Parents Coalition, which is growing in numbers daily because more and more parents are concerned. So I'm speaking to you specifically right now about the sex education standards that are coming out. I see that you guys tried to get ahead of that, knowing there would probably be some backlash, because I think a lot of people are realizing how inappropriate it is. And while parents do need transparency, which you promised to do in our schools, this just isn't enough to combat the damage that the new education standards will do to our children. The information I have seen regarding these standards is disturbing. These standards are not age appropriate. New Jersey public education is supposed to reflect our collective values as a community. They should be nonpartisan as well as developmentally and academically appropriate. These standards do not meet those expectations. The 2014 standards have served us well until now and will do so until reasonable new standards are developed and adopted with proper stakeholder participation. And I urge you to repeal the current statewide health and physical education standards that are coming, and that you, as this local school board, will adopt standards and appropriate curriculum with public input. Also, if you haven't, and I'm sure you have, and if I missed it and somebody else spoke, but Garwood has set a wonderful tone for how they will be addressing this. They flat out said, "Are you kidding me? This is most inappropriate. We will not participate in these." And Garwood is just down the road, and it's amazing to see a school board that acknowledges that and says, this is insane. We cannot do this. So I implore you to really explore this, look at it, and think about finding a new way, or using what we have, or finding a way around it so that we do not have to hurt our children even more than they've been hurt over the past 2 years. Leave it to the parents to make the decisions and to instill the values and knowledge that we wish they would have, especially regarding this subject. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
You're welcome. And thank you, Lisa, for your comments this evening. Is there anybody else that wish to make comments this evening?
Hi, I'm Matthew Angulo. I'm a junior in the Scotch Plains Family High School. I live in Scotch Plains. And I come on behalf of the music department as well as the theater department of the high school. So my general comment is that we are very grateful for the amount of respect that you show towards our programs. We think that you do a lot for us. SpongeBob last year, I know, was a very big endeavor, and we're all very happy that you were able to support us through that whole journey. But we feel as though some of our equipment in our high school auditorium is a bit outdated. We feel that we could definitely use more in that aspect. We know that Nettingham and Terrell have gotten their equipment renovated in, I believe it was 2018, for the 2018 and through 2019 school year. However, the high school is still using much outdated equipment in terms of its soundboard and lighting equipment, and as well as sound equipment. In an ideal world, we would renovate the entire auditorium, which is, I would say, maybe 50 years old. However, I know this is an incredibly expensive task and it's a bit unrealistic. So I just feel that we could do more for just the theater department, for example, which this last production of Les Mis went wonderfully. We have gotten 8 nominations for awards, and I believe that there is definitely more that this school could do for the program. That is all.
Okay. Matthew, thank you for taking time during your school week to come and see us and make these comments about the equipment in the high school auditorium. We'll take note of that. Thank you.
And I would add, it's not unnoticed. The middle school auditoriums were behind the high school auditorium, and one thing that the high school has done in the productions is they hire outside companies to provide the lighting and the sound. But I do know that we have been reviewing the facilities. Mrs. Cleary, our Director of Operations, has been working closely with Wayne Millette in finding the next level of priority. But I appreciate you recognizing how much the board does support the arts, and I think that the results are shown, right? You have an award-winning department, and therefore you should also have the equipment reflects that. So we appreciate you reinforcing that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mast. Is there any other public comment?
Yes, I do. Good evening, I'm Miguel Angulo. I am a resident of Scotch Plains for 19 years. And I just want to add what my son Matthew has expressed in regards to improving the equipment. I was amazed how the last performance of Les Miserables, it was outstanding despite how they have to work every day. And one of the things is I believe and I'm advocate for children to be more into art, into music, because this is what we need today. Our children are focusing in other things that are not really helping them grow. And I truly believe that through these programs, if we start injecting more into arts, poetry, music, this world is going to be much better. And I believe that because I was one of the members of the Scotch playing Frankfurt volleyball men's team. We built this team from the bottom ground, and you can see how it is right now. I believe in that project, and I also believe that these kids, they have the potential. I saw the performance. These kids, they were professionals. They looked like professionals. And yesterday, the music, it was outstanding. So I am advocate for that in any capacity that I can assist with this sport. I'm looking for ways to fund it as well through my company, and anything that I can do in my capacity to assist and help the music department and the theater department to be better. I'm more than happy to collaborate. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your input. Are there any others? Doug, do you have a comment?
No, just we have time for one more.
One
Dr.
more?
Goldberg.
Okay. But seeing none, we'll close this portion. Will be another opportunity at the end of the meeting. And we'll move on to committee reports. Do we have a committee report?
I do.
All right, Ms. Brody?
Community Relations Report. During strategic planning, it was clear that we needed to review our before and after care options for the parents in the district. Mrs. Cleary was part of a task force which researched before and after care options in the district. They gave different organizations the opportunity, which included the Y, to present their program structure. At this time, more research is being done. We're still in the research phase, but we just wanted to report out that we're in the process. And at this time, there is no change to our partnership with the Y. And more to come as we research more. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brody.
That's it.
Any questions? Thank you. Is there any other reports? Okay, seeing none, then we'll move on to letters to the board. 2 emails were received from the public. The appropriate administrator responded. Board motions, Dr. Mass, Superintendent report. Thanks.
1S, move that the Board of Education approves the additional extended year placements as listed. 2S, move that the Board of Education approves the superintendent's decision in the HIB case listed. 3S, move that the Board of Education approves the school nursing plan as prepared by Dr. Rabimbis. 4S, move that the Board of Education approves the matrix of forms also reviewed by Dr. Rabimbis. 5S, move that the Board of Education approves the curricular matrix for the 22-23 school year. That one needs a roll call vote, so if we could go back to that. 6S, move that the Board of Education approves the change of our school district placement for the cases listed. And that concludes that part of the report. If you could go back for the roll call for the curriculum matrix.
Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6, we can vote on as a block.
We can just do all 5 as a roll call. Or all 6 as a roll call and just do one vote.
Okay. So then, Mr. Jones, will you please call the roll?
We need the motions.
Excuse me.
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Gilby.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Bauer. Any questions or further discussion before we call the roll? Okay. Mr. Jones, will you call the roll, please?
Yes. Ms. Brody?
Yes.
Ms. Bauer?
Yes.
Mrs. Boroff?
Yes.
Mr. Murray? Yes. Dr. Kolakowski?
Yes. Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Dr. Mast. Thank you, Mr. Jones. Dr. Mast, personnel report.
I ask the board to approve the superintendent's recommendation for the personnel report as discussed in exec this evening.
Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Murray.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Boroff. Any further question or discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Jones, will you please call the roll again?
Yes. Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mrs. Boroff?
Yes.
Ms. Bauer?
Yes.
Ms. Brody?
Yes.
Dr. Kolkowski?
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Jones. Thank you, Dr. Mast. And Mr. Jones, when you're ready, the business report, please.
Yep, so the first one is our staff training. I'm going to go down to number 5, which is increasing social busing from 625 to 650. Number 6, the standard we do indoor quality services. Number 7 is we're switching to Aetna Dental with 11% decrease. Number 8 is a consultant we use for power schools. Number 9 is our policy. Yes, it's our policy, Strauss Espen, we use for policy updates. Number 10 is our busing services for out-of-district students. Number 11 is to our bank, resolution for our bank. Number 12 is our approval for a food service contract. Number 13 is our demographer. Number 14 is our renewal for our transportation for in-district special education students, which is 1.9%. Thankfully, they're doing a renewal. Very happy with that. Number 15 is our participation in sports. Number 16 is the fire drills. 17 and 18 we are holding off as we're still waiting for our treasurer's report. Number 19 is our bills. And number 20 is disposal of library books.
Can I have a motion? So moved. Thank you, Mrs. Boroff.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Murray. Are there any questions from Mr. Jones about any of the items he's put forth? Mrs. Bauer.
I just had a question about the books that are, how they're disposed of.
It's number 20, school one.
Would you like me to answer that?
They're damaged, obsolete, outdated.
Yes, they are damaged. There's a process that staff has to follow, and if they have value, they will be put out for other people to take the opportunity to make use of them in another district. But these have been found not to be of that quality, so they need to just be disposed of.
And typically, whenever we have disposals on the agenda, they're at the point where we can't sell. So we always ask if we're going to put it on here, is this has any value? Is there any way we can sell it? And if it's on here as disposal, it's usually a no. So in general, that's how we do it.
Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Cleary. Thank you, Mr. Jones. Any other questions or discussion? Okay, we had a motion. We had a second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Jones. That brings us to policies.
I'd like to move that the Board of Education approves the second reading and adopts the following board policies as listed on the agenda and as we've discussed in prior meetings for earlier approval.
Thank you, Mr. Murray.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Brody. Any further question or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Murray. Other board business, any liaison reports?
No, just looking forward to Garden State next week at the annual meeting.
And let's see, New Jersey School Boards, last night we met at Kane University for the final meeting of the year. And Amy Winkler received her board leadership certification. I got my master board member certification, as did Christine Garrido from Garwood. She was there last night. And it was a very nice meeting, and we discussed the delayed start times for the high school. Some high schools have already started to do that, to start at 8:30. And we're looking, and the New Jersey School Board Association is looking for support from the state to make this so that way all the sports and everything could also be moved along. But just because we might start later doesn't mean the day has to end later. And you can count gym as for sport if you're on a sport team. So that way you can miss the last class if it's your gym class to get to a game or a tournament and so on. And same thing with practices. Practices don't have to be 4 hours long. It could be 90 minutes and still get it in. So we had quite a discussion last night about the late start times, and most everybody is in favor of it. And, you know, just a few people kick that back with sports and other extracurricular activities. But all in all, if we do it as a state, it can be done. And they had a PowerPoint presentation which did show studies that have been done that show as the child goes from kindergarten and first grade, you know, they're getting up early, that as they get older into the teen years, they need to sleep later and get that 8 hours of sleep in order to function properly during the day. There's less injuries, they do better on tests, etc. So look forward to more of that coming up. That was our big topic and guest speaker last night. And if nobody has any other liaison report. And Amy and I did attend in person, and Dr. Mast was on the virtual side of that meeting because it was a hybrid meeting. Any requests to attend workshops or workshop reports? 3 OBB move that the Board of Education adopts the resolution to support National School Nurse Day.
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Bauer. Is there a second?
Second.
Second was Mrs. Boroff. Thank you. Any question or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. And then we need approval for the minutes. We have minutes from April 28th, regular minutes, and the executive session minutes. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Murray. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Boroff. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries to accept the minutes. And in accordance with the Scotch Plains Fanwood Public School Bylaw 0164-0165, the meeting will be open for 15 minutes for public comments. Maximum 3 minutes per speaker. Speakers addressing superintendent items, business functions, and other board business will be heard first. If time remains, speakers may address other matters. Please come to the podium if you'd like to make a public comment. Please speak slowly and clearly. Please state your full name and the town in which you reside. And note that board members cannot respond regarding concerns of specific students or staff members, and such matters should be addressed with the superintendent's office. So please come up to the podium if you'd like to make a public comment at this time.
Gary Morris, Fanwood, New Jersey.
Thank you.
Why do I say New Jersey every time? It's such a real quick, we're told time and time again, if you see something, say something. And again, as I spoke the last time, I saw things, I said things, I didn't take it to the level of the Board of Ed. This is something that was in one of the summer reading books. This is a diagram on how to build a bomb. Would you be okay with the situation that we just saw happen up in Buffalo? That boy was going to do something in his school. Would you be okay with him having this in his actual reading material? A diagram showing a flammable liquid with a timing device. This is in a book that my children had to read over the summer. Why? Why would we want to plant those seeds in a child's mind? I'm flabbergasted. If my child had this printed on his shirt, how long would he be suspended? Honestly. Who's reading these books and why are they being assigned? It doesn't make sense. Secondly, I just wanted to read a passage from The Hiding Place from Corrie ten Boom. This is Corrie as a child, as she's riding in a train with her dad. And so, seated next to Father in the train compartment, I suddenly asked, "Father, what is sex sin?" He turned to look at me, as he always did when answering a question, but to my surprise, he said nothing. At last, he stood up, lifted his traveling case from the rack over our heads, and set it on the floor. "Will you carry it off the train, Corrie?" he said. I stood up and tugged at it. It was crammed with the watches and spare parts he had purchased that morning. "It's too heavy," I said. "Yes," he said, "and it would be a pretty poor father who would ask his daughter to carry such a load. It's the same way, Corrie, with knowledge. Some knowledge is too heavy for children. When you are older and stronger, you can bear it. For now, you must trust me to carry it for you." And I was satisfied, more than satisfied, wonderfully at peace. There were answers to this and all my hard questions. For now, I was content to leave them in my Father's keeping. I think that's really profound message there, is it's parents who need to determine what's right for their individual child. And just to add to that, Corrie ten Boom's family, her father and her brother both died in captivity because they were protecting Jews. They led a group, this Christian family led a group that saved 800 Jews during the Holocaust. So this is the kind of fiber that we're talking about here, and I think it is a profound truth that from back then is as meaningful or more meaningful even today. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Gary.
John Denning, Scotch Plains.
Thank you.
So last time I was here, we spoke about the new health curriculum standards that were coming out. And I asked for transparency. I promised that was coming. I went on the curriculum page today, and there's a little blurb, but there's no curriculum. There's nothing that tells you what you're actually planning to teach our children. Now, these standards came out almost 2 years ago. Everyone had an extra year to work on them. There was a little pause when the state said they were going to rethink about it, and they basically said, nope, we're happy. And they said, it's a local education unit that gets to decide what actually is done. So with 2 years into it, parents need to see what you plan on teaching their kids so they can decide what they're going to opt out of. We've had 2 years now. If you wait any longer to put this out, you're going to manufacture a crisis where you're going to be teaching this stuff without proper time for parents to have input and to adjust what you're teaching to match the needs of the parents and the children. It's a stakeholder process. It's not you invite the parents to come see what you've come up with and nothing changes. You need to involve the parents step by step, and you need to take their input seriously. And if they say, there's no way I want my 8th grader learning about that, and you know what's in the standards for that age group, I can't even bring myself to say it. Or, what was for example, they wanted to teach the 5th graders. I can't say that in a public meeting. You got to bring the parents into this process, and you got to respect their concerns in it. And if parents think that this stuff is A-okay, they're free to teach it at home. But you have their kids as a captive audience. They have no freedom to get away from this unless their parents know what's being taught so they can opt them out. And even that is socially awkward. You're putting them in this position. It ought to be opt-in. You ought to give everyone a pre-filled opt-out slip, let them sign it, and then give them an opt-in slip for the things they want taught to their kids. Our kids are too important. And I referenced the same thing last time I spoke about a load too heavy for children to carry, being the idea of age appropriate. And I think it's wonderful that he brought up the ten Booms, because They did good work. And I'd like you guys to do good work for our kids, which means don't place this weight around their neck when they're not ready for it. Let the parents decide. Take those standards from the state. You can blow through those. There's a school district that's going to take care of it all in 35 minutes, the last day of school. The state has said it's up to you. No accountability on it. You can read what they wrote. They're not going to check up on you or anything. You just have to conform to what they say. There are so many ways you could do this in ways that would benefit the kids and the parents. And I really hope that you do that. But you got to put the information out there so the parents can see what the kids are in for. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Henry. Is there anyone else that would like to make a public comment at this time? Seeing none, then I'm going to close this portion of the meeting. Oh, Dr. Maska, right ahead.
So at previous meetings and also at the recent superintendent coffee, we talked about the process, and though the standards have been out there, we certainly have been doing other things through the pandemic. We said that the timeline of the rollout of these standards will be in the spring. We said that we are going to have stakeholder groups. We're going to be starting with the parents and the core ideas that are in these standards, and from that, we are going to make the district curriculum. Since the 1980s, parents have been able to opt out of sexual health curriculum. That's new. That will continue to be in place. For example, for many, many years, there's been puberty videos that happened in the middle school. Parents had access to those videos, and they would choose to have their children participate in the lessons or opt out. This will be very similar. But at the same time, where parents have the choice to opt out, we encourage them to make that choice, but we also encourage them to keep an open mind to the curriculum that we create that will be age appropriate for our students. And we did say the timeline was the work is beginning in the summer. The lessons will be designed in the fall for a rollout in the spring. And our stakeholder parents will be a part of that process. Dr. McGarry, do you have anything else to add to that? Nope. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Mass. So nothing is being taught about that at this time. Things will be rolled out in spring of 23, and we'll start working on that in the summer and the fall.
That's correct.
Okay, with parent input. Thank you for that clarification. Okay, upcoming meetings will be June 2nd for the next Board of Ed meeting. Open agenda in the administration building. Public portion is at 8 p.m. Tuesday, June 7th is student recognition for the seniors and high schoolers. Evergreen New Gym, and that will be at 7:30 p.m. And then Thursday, June 23rd, regular public meeting in this building, the admin building, at 8 p.m. for the public portion. At this time, I'd like to entertain any remarks for the good of the order. As Dr. Mass mentioned, we did have the coffee with the superintendent and board members. Myself and Amy Winkler were there at Nettingham Media Center last Friday. We had a nice turnout and we had some good discussion.
I don't have anything specific, but to say that I am consistently or regularly receiving news of just accolades from our athletic and our arts departments these days. I can't keep track of all of the wins and participation that's been going on, but I was up at the fields yesterday for part of the lacrosse game and it was just wonderful to hear all the good news. And again, to the student that came out to talk about Les Mis and how fabulous it was. And I don't even know that we've mentioned that we've received 8 nominations. I get ahead of myself. Nominations for Les Mis from the Paper Mill Playhouse. And so I just thought it was worth, congratulations to our staff and students for really making this an exceptional year in athletics and arts.
Thank you, Mrs. Moore.
Just to add to that, the most recent success of our athletic teams is in our boys volleyball, where both the junior varsity and the varsity teams have won the county championships. And they played this past last night at Kean University. And it was a lot of Raider pride there. There was also a lot of other things happening in the district. So there was an everyday math night that had many parents attending, and we had good curriculum conversations. And in addition, there was the instrumental concert at the high school that Dr. McGarry got the long straw to attend. So,
Yeah, there was too many things last night, all on one night. All right, thank you, Dr. Mast. Any other comments?
I think the only other thing sports-wise is lacrosse has advanced in the state tournament as well. So they're having another good year. So
and the coach has been recognized as, he's received an honor as a top coach in the state for boys lacrosse.
So students across the district in all different facets, whether it's the arts, whether it's curriculum, whether it's education, whether it's sports, it's been great to see. It's been a wonderful year for our students across the
And
district.
academics too, with national merit, I saw. We've had a lot of things in the paper. I want to highlight the good coverage, the many articles, because I'm seeing things everywhere.
Well, thank you, Mr. Murray. Thank you, Mrs. Bauer. Any others? Okay. So if there's no more remarks for the good of the order, we do have a little bit of artwork that is up here this evening that was not here last meeting. Appreciate seeing that. And I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Boroff.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Brody. All those in favor? Aye. That's unanimous. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.